Today we're out on the dirt and we're going to have a little play with all of the driving modes. I'm going to show a bit of footage inside of when we select each mode, what happens on the instrument cluster and what happens on that center screen, because there's plenty of things that happen as you change them. Now I know that the standard Next Gen Ranger and the Super Duty, most of the modes are the same. I think there's one that is different. I'll have to check the spec sheets about that. After that, we're going to do a little driving, just up and down on a short bit of track. No 0 to 100 stuff. It's just literally going to be seat of the pants dyno testing, just to see if we can detect what the throttle response is like and how the vehicle drives differently between each of the modes. Let's go and get into it.
Sounds fun. Hello and welcome to Audrey the Icon Adventures. I'm Connie.
And I'm Daryl.
And this is Audrey the Icon.
Sitting here looking at the instrument cluster, and this is in normal mode with the vehicle mode selector in 4A. You can see the 4A up in the top right, just over here, next to the park brake symbol. Over here on the center screen, you can just see the standard normal menus. Down to the side here, that's what I'm calling the driving mode selector. It's on 4A. That button there's 4H. That button there's 4 low. Over here, there's a long button here, is what I call the off-road mode button. I am now going to use the vehicle mode selector. I'm going to turn it 1 click anti-clockwise, and we're going to watch what happens to the instrument cluster. That brings it back to just the normal screen. That was just 1 click, did nothing to the center screen. We're in normal mode. We're going to pull that onto a bit better dirt road than what we just had a quick play on. And we're going to go for a little drive in each of the modes just to see if I can feel from the bum cheek dyno any difference in how Rocky behaves here. Okay, we're not doing 0 to 100 times and all that sort of garbage. Let's see what the throttle response feels like. Unfortunately, force scan on my computer doesn't recognize our car, and I think that's for everybody at the moment. They're working on it. When that becomes available, that'll be a very handy tool, so then we could actually look at how fast the throttle does respond to input. Let's go for just a short drive in each mode just to see what it's like. In normal mode, everybody that's got one will know what it's like. You know, squeeze the throttle a little bit and he accelerates. Oh, slow right down for this. Right down for this. Something that I don't know how many people have talked about this in their videos. The brakes on these things are flaming awesome. They're that big, they should be. You can't put 17-inch wheels on here because the brake rotors are that big. And they need to be to stop 8 ton or 4.5 ton if you're not towing. We're driving along at sort of 40 to 60 kilometers an hour. You only have to just squeeze the throttle a little bit and Rocky just accelerates so nicely. We've got about 300-ish kilos on the tray, and that's on top of the weight of the tray. I'm now doing 2 clicks. We can see that eco has come up. Okay, the instrument cluster has changed. We now have I'm going to call it a teal type of a colour, a light green colour. Everything else there looks fairly normal. One thing that is different, down next to the park, you see a little leaf. I'm taking it to be a leaf. That means we're in greeny mode. Over on the centre screen, nothing changed. What we noticed is the air conditioning fan slowed down when we selected eco mode. That's one of the little things that takes place. hard to do. It feels like I've got to push the accelerator harder to get up to 60 kilometers an hour like that. And I wasn't flooring it or anything. It was just literally to let's get going along. We're just driving backwards and forwards on this couple of 100 meters of dirt. It feels like I have to push the accelerator firmer to get going, being in eco mode. My gut impression is that they have made the accelerator pedal more doughy in eco mode, which, let's face it, that makes sense. You push the accelerator pedal, it doesn't open the throttle as much, therefore we don't use as much fuel, therefore it's a greeny mode. Now I'm going to do 3 clicks and see what mode we end up there. Tow haul mode. This is a mode that a lot of people will use. I know we've used it for a little bit and we plan to use it extensively throughout the life of Rocky. Down next to the little park indicator, we now have a little box trailer. Or maybe it's a big box trailer, seeing it's a tandem. All the gauges are yellow in colour. The centre screen again has not changed. Initial impression is that feels like normal mode on steroids to a degree. Not crazy. I know it doesn't give us a single horsepower more than we already had. It's literally just throttle response and therefore engine response. Let's push a bit harder. Yeah. Like, not flooring it, we got up to 60 kilometers an hour quite easily there. I would say tow haul mode makes the throttle respond faster than it does even in normal mode. Going to go 4 clicks to the left this time. There we go, slippery mode. Okay, that's a nice light blue colour on the screen. Down next to the park selector, you can see it looks like a slippery road, a little snowflake, maybe some raindrops. All these things that would give you a slippery road. I'm not sure how well it shows up. All this area in the back, there's a couple of lines indicating the sides of the road, and it looks like you're driving along a snowy ridge line. Again, the center screen has not changed any. That is a lot. The accelerator feel there is a lot more like eco mode than it is normal mode. I felt like I had to push it further to get us going again. Yeah, it definitely feels a lot more like eco mode than normal mode when we're in slippery. Which, when you think about it, slippery, you don't want a lot of hard, fast accelerator input and engine response, because that could lead to wheel spin and potentially crashing and dying. So that makes sense for it to be doughier to the feel. 5 clicks to the left this time. Mud ruts. And there's a 4x4 shift in progress. Off-road status comes up. Let's have a look what we've got here. We've got a greenish colour, or a darker green compared to the tealy coloured green earlier. What have we got happening here? Down the bottom, a different symbol again next to the park shift indicator. That looks like a little tree, and I'm guessing that's meant to indicate ruts and mud. Up the top, we can see that the rear locker is on. Over here, our 4A has now become 4H. And down the bottom here, you can see the drivetrain and you can see the locker turned on. On the center display, The top half is now the front camera. We can see a couple of mode selectors down here. Down the bottom right here is you turn your parking sensors off. Over to the left, we've got cameras. Start at the top and you get your 360 view here. Next button down, we have just the front camera. Next button down, we have the front and the two side cameras. The lower button is for camera intended for trailer use only. We don't have it. Up here, that's the rear facing camera. Next one is looking at the hitch. Next button is a split view for the sides. Yep, I think holds the gear longer. It changed a lot to third gear and then stayed in third. Didn't keep up changing when we got off the throttle and slowed down. It's not until we've slowed right down that it has dropped back the gears. Oh, and the locker is on. Let's test that again. Yeah, I think it's a lot closer to normal mode when you're in the mud ruts driving mode. This is going to be 6 clicks anti-clockwise. Sand, there's another 4x4 shift took place. We've got a bluish colour again for the sand. Down the bottom next to the park for the gear indicator, there's a little cactus. Up the top you can see that the rear locker is on again. We're in 4 high. You can see the locker there. Down the bottom right of the fuel gauge, you'll see that traction control is off. The center screen, the top half is the forward camera. Again, we have that blue colored theme carrying across. Forward camera. This has all the same camera selections that we just had in mud and slippery, just a slightly different color. What do we think? It's got to be harder and faster again.
Yeah.
I think like toe haul, as in squeeze a bit and a lot happens.
Go, go, go.
Let's see. Oh yeah. I'm hardly touching this accelerator, and wow, it's as if we're putting the foot down really hard. Yeah.
So it's like to get your oomph out of the sand when you're stuck.
Definitely. That yeah, definitely livens up the throttle by being in sand mode. All right, we'll just test that again. Yeah, you hardly touch the throttle and he takes off. Oh yeah. Holds the gears like he's holding in second gear there at the moment. Didn't change into third until about 50 kilometres an hour. 7 turns to the left this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Rock crawl. This is my favourite mode, by the way, rock crawl. That means we're out having some serious fun. Okay, it's telling me I've got to shift to neutral. ESC is off. Alright, there's a bit to show just here. 4L, it's another brownish colour for rock crawl mode for the display. Rear locker's on, 4 low, shows the locker on there. Over to the right here, showing that the ESC is off. And then we've got this icon up here as well. That's off. Down the bottom here, next to the park. I take it that they're meant to indicate boulders or rocks that you might be crawling over. Looking at the center display. Front camera again. And it's the same as a couple of the other modes that we've done, just a slightly different colouring. So 360 degree there, or down the sides. Maybe we're going backwards. Put him into drive. He shows 1 out of 10. And you can see to the right hand side of the shifter position, there's an M and then 1 out of 10. On the shifter, the rearmost button is the M button. We push that once. You'll now see that we're in manual mode for the shifter, first gear. We find that when we're doing rock crawling, we'll be lucky if we get to third gear. Right. So you can accelerate hard all you want. It doesn't go very fast. Change gears. It really is. I'd be very surprised if you ever got over about third gear in rock crawl, because that's, as you can see, 17, 18 kilometers an hour. Something that we have discovered is, while in rock crawl mode, manual mode like this, I'm going to speed up to about 4 or 5 kilometers an hour. I'm pushing the plus button to change up a gear, and you can see the 1 flashing won't happen. You need to have 7 kilometers an hour on the dash for you to be able to change into second. That was something that we discovered when we had our day out four-wheel driving. That shows you all the modes that we have here by using the vehicle mode selector down here. Now there's a couple of other buttons that we can play with, so let's. The first one we'll go for, we're still in normal mode, in neutral. If we push this large button here, it's the off-road button, what I call the off-road button, push that. Now the instrument cluster, there's no change. That's all exactly the same still. The center screen has changed though. We've got the forward-looking camera again. This time we've got a layout of the vehicle drivetrain. We've got the tyre pressures there. We've got 41, 41, 44, 43. We've got the parking sensors on and off. This button here is trail turn assist. It's only available in 4 low or 4 high. Over here, bottom one, rear locker. So you see that it shows the rear axle locked up there. Over on instrument cluster, you got it. It shows the rear locker there. Front locker, selected locking differential not available in the current 4x4 mode. To use the front locker, we need to be in low range. I'll change into low range shortly. Trail control. That is a fun thing to play with. It works both downhill and uphill. I'm going to show some more detail of that in another episode. We've only just started playing with it. I want to play with it a little bit more before we get into sharing with you. Let's use the selector down here and go to low range. We're still in neutral, where you need to be so you can go between low and high range. You'll see that we've got the stability controls off down there, and we're in 4 low up here. Back over on this screen, it hasn't changed. Now we can use the front locker. You'll see the axle locked up there. And then on the instrument cluster, you can see to the left, just a little bit, that we now have the front axle locked. Now, my understanding is this is something that is peculiar to the Super Duty. I'm guessing there may be other 4x4s out there that can do this. I'm not aware. If you know of some, hey, Let us know in the comments below. That'd be great. Turn the rear locker off and the front locker is still on, as you can see there. And over here, the rear locker is gone and it's just the front locker there still. Let's test this. We're going to go all the way back straight to 4A. There's a 4x4 shift in progress. ESC is now back on. And you'll see on the center screen that the front locker has automatically disengaged. Okay, babe. We've just driven up and down that couple hundred metres of dirt road.
Quite a few times.
Testing all the different modes.
Yep.
And I could really feel a difference in the throttle response between the modes, especially, as I said a little bit earlier, you got rock crawl way down here as super doughy, which is what you want, all the way up to sand mode, where honestly it felt like you barely touched the throttle and you're taking off. We've not done sand driving. From what I've read about it and watched other people doing it, that sounds like what you want it to do though. It was really noticeable, the different modes and just the throttle response. I know it makes zero difference to the horsepower of the vehicle. That, not looking for different horsepower, it's how the throttle is activated and therefore how the engine responds and how Rocky responded. And yeah, in sand mode, golly gee, it felt like he took off like a cut snake.
We're in the forest, don't talk about snakes.
Okay, whereas in rock mode, and we have done a bit of driving in rock mode's been fantastic for us. We gave it a really good workout. You're going to see that in another episode fairly shortly actually. And gave a good workout, just driving around on really suitable areas to be in rock mode. Or pardon me, in rock crawl mode.
Yeah, so while not being dressed for an afternoon out on the tracks, we found one close to home and got a chance to do all this testing. So it was quite a bit of fun before we actually go out and play with them for real.
Yeah, it's just a bit of an impromptu today to get out and do this. Glad we did. So when we do get out onto the tracks, gosh, hopefully in the next couple of weeks again,
yep,
we're a bit more familiar with the various modes and how we expect them to respond. That track we were on, that we'll be showing all the gang here shortly, there was, I'm standing in ants, pardon me.
The track we were on?
The track we were on, we had a bit of everything. There was mud, there was ruts, there was rocks, bit sandy stuff. Not that we needed sand mode there. Yeah, it was a good day out that day, and I'm looking forward to showing that to you. Maybe it'll be in the next couple of episodes that you'll see that for sure. Anyway, thanks for joining in. Yep.
Yep. Let's get out of here.
Bye for now.